And welcome
Boom.
to another episode of the Best Three Podcast. I'm Alvin. That is Torrey. That is also Ashley. And it is
What up,
Saturday night.
Ashe?
It is Saturday night, which puts us in the thick of the third round of the U.S. Open. Almost done with the third round matches. We got a few on right now, but we're gonna roll this bad boy anyway. So tonight we're gonna talk about kind of week one on the whole. Get a look at some of these third round matches, talk about some of these fourth round matchups, and anything that our collective hearts desire. I'll start with Ashley. Ashley, how are you doing this evening?
Doing great. I am still repping the Longhorns after a tough football loss today. I'm happy to talk about tennis and switch it up.
Yep.
Today, it's just a great Labor Day weekend, great sports weekend for me and my household. So I'm excited to be here tonight, and I'm excited to talk about tennis.
Fantastic. Yeah, my Tigers, LSU Tigers. Let me be specific.
Yeah, you got to be specific where you're at.
We got Tiger versus Tiger tonight, down in Clemson, up in Clemson from here. Battle of Death Valleys. But we're doing this instead. TH, how you living, man?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I was just thinking about Ashley's hook 'em horns over there. We got to get Michael Center on the podcast, and I haven't talked to Michael in a couple
Yeah,
of
he
years, so it'll be good to
just launched a new book. I'm excited to read it.
just launch this book. I was just talking with some coaches about it. It'd be great to catch back up with the former coach. You know what I mean? I'm sure
Absolutely.
he's got a lot of things to kind of comment on a lot of levels. But bottom line, that's for another time. But
Yeah.
shout out to Michael Center if you're watching, hit us up. Give us some dates. Look forward to talking to you, sir.
Hook them. So I did a secret coin toss earlier, before you guys get on, and it landed on tails. So we're gonna start with the men tonight, if
Love
that's
that.
okay. We're
Done.
gonna make you guys wait for the good stuff when we get to the women. Full disclosure, I just got back from the U.S. Open today. I was there on Thursday and Friday. Middle Thursday, Friday. Had a great time. It was really, really good. I hadn't been to the U.S. Open in since 2008, and
Mm.
it was so nice to be with the people. Tori, I still stand on this. I prefer Charleston over Flushing. It's all
Yeah.
a
Yep.
lot, but
A lot, man. It's a lot.
it's a ton. It's a
and
ton.
it,
But
and it only gets bigger and more busy. And I mean, you could spend a day in each little nook and cranny of the Open. They literally need to have a 14-day pass
oh, I'm
just to
sure they'll
let
sell you one.
you,
They'll sell you one. Yeah.
I'm sure, but just to understand and the level of the matches. I mean, you can hang out on court 17
My favorite
and
place
that
to
whole
be.
section and be fine.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can hang out at grandstand, the new grandstand. You can hang. Louis is much improved and a whole
Man,
different experience. You know what I mean? I mean, I was shocked when I went in there. I hadn't been in Louis in years.
Louis might be the
Louis might be the
perfect
best court.
it might be
Right?
the
It might be the best
perfect
court to play in.
tennis court.
Yeah.
Like it is.
100%.
I was gonna get to that. So okay, so I had a day. I had a couple matches in Louis. I think I did day Louis on Thursday, day Louis on Friday, and then Ashe on Friday night. And normally I would not do this, but myself and my friends, we all traveled in. So I'm like, worst case, if we get rain, we got a roof, right? I don't want us to walk away with no tennis. So, but the Ashe versus Louis experience,
Very different.
I saw Novak versus Cam Norrie in Ashe, and
Yep.
then Taylor Townsend versus Mira Andreeva. And this is the largest tennis stadium in the world,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
Yep.
And
Yep.
even when it was loud, it felt cavernous,
Yeah.
right? Like it's so big.
Yeah.
There's so much
Yep.
negative space in the building, right? Like
Yep.
True.
court up, like all of this space. So like even when it's loud, you don't from the stands, you don't feel like it's all around you. You feel like it's just kind of
Yep.
like noise in the air. Whereas Louis, when I was in Louis for Ben's match,
Yeah.
oh man, it felt like you
Yeah.
were in a high school gym. Like
Yeah.
it was
Yep.
great.
Yep.
Yeah, you're
It
right
was
on
Yep.
top
great.
of right on top of it there, it feels like.
Yeah, and like the way I guess the
Yep.
way the acoustics are set up, like it's
Yeah.
bouncing around, like it felt intimate.
Yeah.
Yep.
Even though it was a stadium, and that was the old like center court, right? That was the old like stadium.
Old. Yep.
Okay.
Old. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yep. I find Chatrier is like that too in the French. For those that haven't been there, it's like a massive coffee cup. You know what I mean? And the sides go up strong, and you're sitting on top of the person in front of you, but it is very much the noise and the volume. To your point, the acoustics much better. And I find Labor to be a smaller Ashe. It's it's massive. It's massive in there too. Not as
It
high,
is. No. Yeah,
but
I
but
went.
it
I went
but
a
it
couple years
has
ago.
that
Yeah, it's
same
Yeah.
it has that same level. It's a concert, venue, right?
yeah.
Any
Exactly.
every year, every for the big events, except for those 2 weeks of the year, in January slash Feb. So anyway, to your point, I get you. Are you talking 92 approval versus 85, Louis to Ashe? Are we talking
I'm never going in Ashe again. No,
98
I'm never going in Ashe
to
again.
80? Wow.
I'm
What?
Okay.
never.
That's a
I'm
bold
never.
statement.
That is
Unless,
a strong take, Alvin. That's a
Wow.
strong take.
caveat, Ashley. Unless like semifinals and finals tickets fall in my lap,
So
I'll
Sure.
twist my arm. I'll go.
I've been lucky enough the
Right.
last 2 years to attend the women's semis in Ashe, and I have to say,
Yep.
for client experiences and things like that with my day job, and I have to say from that experience, right, being able to take a behind the scenes tour, be able to look at the
Yeah.
Right.
grounds
Right.
from what I would say maybe like the non-tennis person fan, right, fans, but like not necessarily playing background. Ashe is like the pinnacle, right? It's like
Yeah.
the Eras tour of tennis, right? So
Sure. Sure.
like that experience, right, with the food and the drink and the fun and the
Yeah.
atmosphere and your
The
celeb
suites.
spotting and all this.
Yeah.
It is fun from an
Yeah.
entertainment perspective as well. But I understand, like
From
as
a
fan,
tennis
I'm actually out on
perspective,
court 17. To be very honest with you, that's where I want to be
Yeah.
all day. I'm gonna be
Court
watching from
17
the
is
crappy
definitely a better.
streets.
And
Yeah,
your Ash, you hit on something. It is Mercedes-Benz Stadium for tennis. And that's what it is. It feels like there are so many club level seats and other things going on in
yeah,
there. I mean, it's a show, man. It's a show,
yeah.
and I think that was the whole point,
yep,
right?
yep,
But I will also say that as far as for the fan in me that wants to watch, give me 4, 5, and 6, man.
yeah,
Give me, right there where I can watch and be right there
yeah,
courtside for a bigger event. I'll even take grandstand over Ashe. Give
yeah,
me anything that's in that level. I love Court 17. Absolutely love Louis. I was there. The mixed matches were either in Ashe or in Louis,
right.
Right.
and I went from Ashe over to Louis. And first of all, we had a debacle. The lady with security in Ashe was so tight. We're sitting there with lanyards and literally a cards from the tournament director saying, yeah, this is USCA coaching. They have the coaches seats in these two boxes, right?
Yeah,
Nope, need a ticket. So I spent the first hour of the hour and a half in Ashe trying to get in the Ashe. Security was so tight, and I'm like, you got to be freaking kidding me. So I ran over to Louis, like, man, bump this because you didn't need a ticket over in Louis.
right.
And I said something similar to you, Alvin. Why the heck would I ever go back to Ashe again
Thank you.
when the seats are
Preach.
better?
Preach.
And I got my girl over there, the Gestapo over there with the tickets, and the tennis arguably was better.
Right.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Now,
Different
anyway, we can
experiences
move
for
on.
sure.
But
Different experiences for sure. But I mean, kudos to the USTA and for creating the layout at the Open. I think obviously going from 2008 to it's like basically a totally different layout.
Right.
Different
100%.
fan experience. I do have to say that I can appreciate what they're doing from a fan experience wise. I think that
Right.
the casual fan can go there and have a great time. The diehard
Yep.
tennis fan, the former players can go. All of us can find our little space, and I think
Find your little
kudos to the
space.
USTA for creating an environment where all of us can kind of find our
I
belonging.
agree.
It's the Lollapalooza or the Austin City Limits of
It
tennis,
is.
right?
ACL over
It's
that,
it or the Coachella,
ACL.
if you will. It's
Yep.
it's just a fun time.
As long
It's a
as
fun
it's not
time.
Burning
is.
Man, Alvin. As long as it's not Burning Man.
I've heard I have family that attends Burning Man annually. That's for another episode. But anyways, so being on site, that was my kind of takeaway from the from the fan perspective, like put the coaching hat on and like how being there allows you to evaluate players. And this is the same. It's kind of the same as like going to a smaller tournament of 500 or something like that, where you can get up close. It's like you can really get an understanding, for me specifically, why a player, why they are who they are, why their ranking is what their ranking is. You can really
Sure.
see their limitations as a player, because they're all good. You watch them on TV, they can all work the ball and they can all move. And it's the little things that separate, the top players from the next players, and then the next players from the rest of the players. And kind of specifically, I was with actually, I don't know if you remember. Shout out to Norm Houston, former colleague of mine. We were watching Marta Kostyuk play against who was she playing? She was playing maybe Sanmez in her match a couple days ago, and it was like, Marta is Marta's tall, she moves well, backhands out of the corner all day, like she's in the fight, but then that forehand is just a little thinner than you want from someone who's going to be approaching the top 20, right? Like that's kind of like that specific thing is her limitation. It's fine, the forehand's fine, but like you can't really necessarily see that on TV all the time. Whereas when you're courtside from the side, you're like, oh, that's the best ball she can hit, and that shape's not hurting anyone at this level. There is going to be a ceiling that she will run into until that changes. And I say that she's in the fourth round of the U.S. Open. Like, so what am I talking about, right? What am I talking about? And then like someone like Cam Norrie, watched his complete match last night against Novak, and for all the things that Cam is really, really good at, right? And the continuing conversation around his horse lungs, right? Like Cam kind of is lacking fast twitch muscles. Like he doesn't sprint well.
He never has.
Right. It is what it is. That's his own limitation. Like you see him try to hit a running
saw a couple
forehand.
of drop shot gets that, to your point.
Right.
The
drop shots.
Like, whoa.
I was like, get there. Come on, Cam. Come on. You got
Get
it.
there.
But
Get
to
the
your
engine
point,
going a little bit.
right. And to your point, he's, I don't think anybody would confuse him for a speedster out there. I was happy that he slid on the hard court. I was like, hey, Cam can slide. On a double bounce.
He
But
slid.
my point being,
He slid, but he cannot slide.
to not run into a double. He did not get there on the first bounce, is my point. And I was happy he didn't fall into the net. That's my point. And I say that to say, and this young man had a phenomenal Wemby and kept it close and took a set off Novak. So, I mean, I'm just saying, it's a great point. It's why you have to see these guys in person.
You got to see him in person. You got to go see him in person. Yeah. Let's start from the top. So we're looking at round 4 tomorrow. Starting on the men's side, we're just going to start from the top. Jannik Sinner. I watched pretty much all of his match today as I'm in transit to the airport. I'm in the airport. I'm on the plane. There are shots to Delta for your live television on the plane. This match was less about Jannik Sinner and more about Denis Shapovalov.
Yeah.
I put this in the rundown. The mercurial Denis Shapovalov. I watched him play a couple days ago.
Yeah.
And then I was like, you know what? He's just kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
He's all over the place. Like the theatrics, he doesn't really do anything conventionally. Everything is kind of like out there, right? But then you hear Sinner talk about him before the match, and he's like, he's very unpredictable. That's what makes him tough.
Yeah.
And he is almost the poor man's version of Carlos, which is he's very athletic. He can hit through the court, right? He can put Sinner in positions where Sinner found it very difficult to kind of control from the middle of the court and direct traffic to the corners. Shapovalov had him doing the work early, and there must be something about his ball that Jannik doesn't like, because he missed some balls that were a little uncharacteristic of him. But I think the ability to extend points, like similar to the way Carlos does, and then the fact that he's unpredictable, he doesn't do what you think he's going to do. He just does whatever he's thinking about doing, which is kind of like Carlos, and that is very anti Jannik Sinner. What say you, Ashley?
Yeah, I agree. I think, for me, when I watch Shapovalov, he is creative on the court in a way that I find entertaining. I think what I would like to see from him before I can really get behind him is the consistency in making the right choice and winning the right points, right? And he almost has this, there's a hint of Gael Monfils that I see in him.
That's what I was going to say.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He's a lesser white Gael Monfils, lefty.
His level, when his level is on, it's unbelievable. But if you can only do that for a set and a half or 3 sets, a couple sets, It's just you're always going to fall short because it's the actual consistency of the centers, even the Alcarazes, right? He provides a consistent result. And I'd like to see him cut back just a little on creativity in favor of winning points consistently at that level. I think that's my little that's how I feel when I
Is
watch
that your
him.
Christmas list, Ashley? Is that your Christmas wish list? It ain't happened in 9 years. It's probably not going to happen anytime soon.
Well, but
I hear your point, though.
as a coach, like what do you how do you coach that, right? Like to
You
me,
don't.
okay. Well, there's your answer.
You don't. Let me tell you why.
It
Let me
is.
tell you why. And you make an excellent point. You don't coach how he plays now. And you're trying to look at a very unpredictable, a very, I'm going to say, mercurial was a great word. I think he likes being a contrarian. He
Yeah.
likes not doing it the right way.
Yeah.
So if I'm his coach, right, you've got to look at coaching him differently.
Sure.
I look at what John Williams has done with Taylor. I'm gonna meet you where you are. All right, I'm gonna meet you where you are. This is who you are, and I'm gonna tell you right now, it's not going to change. But so the consistency you talk about, that's his kryptonite.
Yeah.
Consistency
Yep.
And so,
in training, in outlook, in percentages. But that's also why he does it. And I think there's a bunch of players like that in his boat. I think Nick Kyrgios is in that same boat. I think
Absolutely.
there's about 10% of the players on the tour that are in that same boat that just do it their way. And I got to tell you, that's kind of like watching. I'm
well,
thankful for them.
it's fun for the fans, right?
Right.
It is fun for
Yeah.
the fans. They all play, and you talk about, okay, Shapovalov, you talk about Monfils, you talk about Kyrgios. These are some of the most exciting players,
Right.
on the men's side, like on any given day. Like the crowds
But-
for his match against Royer were like, they were nuts, but then so was he. Like,
Yeah.
it's
Right.
all over the place.
Right.
But do they ever have a chance of winning a Grand Slam? I understand.
Also,
they're
here's the
entertaining.
problem. Here's the problem. I think as a coach, what you are then tasked to do is to raise their floor, because
Yeah.
the players with the highest floor
Sure.
are the ones that are able to get through. Like Torrey, you were talking about, you have these days, throughout the course of a Grand Slam where your level is somewhere between, 1 and 10, whatever. Like, he's gonna hit, like, his worst day is gonna be a 2. And that's
Yep.
not good enough to win a match in a Grand Slam.
Nope.
Like, we need
Nope.
to get him to a point where his worst day is a 4 or a 5.
Yeah.
Like, and that's the difference between a Shapovalov and a Carlos. Like, if Carlos is not playing well, assuming he's not kind of checked out, which I think we're past that with him.
Right.
Like, he's still going to be able to get through it.
Yeah.
Dennis is going to
Crash
he's going to
and
be yelling
burn.
at everybody. Yeah, he's
He's
yelling
gonna
at
be
everybody.
Dennis. He's gonna be Dennis every day.
Dennis the
You know
Menace,
what I
right?
mean? And 100%. And you heard it right here. The players that are consistent don't like that.
It's true.
Just saying.
Well, that's
The,
that's his match today with
Yannick didn't
Jannik,
like the
right?
first set today.
Yeah,
You know what I
and
mean?
that
Drop
match
shot
was,
it on first strikes.
Yeah, he's very much
Serving
a weather the
volleys.
storm type player. Like he's gonna
Oh
get
my
hot, just
God.
weather the storm,
No doubt.
keep putting the ball on the court, and at some point he's gonna cool off, and then you can kind of turn the tide, and hopefully that doesn't
Yep.
take all 5 sets, and you get to save a little bit of energy at the end.
right. And then, I mean, there came a point in today's match where it's like it was 3-all in the third set, and it's like, okay, you need to hold right here, and he did not, and then he just kind of
It was fun.
Went away.
lost it.
Yep.
And
Yep.
he hadn't said anything, much of anything, and we were at like the maybe 2:10 mark at that point,
Yeah.
and he had it put together. And then
Yep.
when it got a little bit, when the resistance was there, and he had to like lock down, he could not lock down. He
Yep.
kind of lost it, and it's probably more credit to Sinner because he's going to force you to do that, right? It's not really about Dennis, but we could use somebody like Dennis to keep the top of the men's game interesting because
Exciting to watch.
help me.
We had one, but he needs to retire. I get tired of seeing him continue to try to make this comeback effort. And Nick, one of my all-time favorite players to watch, but God bless it, brother. Do your thing. I'm not sure that I want to see Nick continue this, 10-year retirement plan either. You know what I mean? So let me say this. I think we all, and we're all tennis players, we're all former coaches, we all have a pretty, I'm going to say, a fairly astute opinion of tennis than the average fan. Our fallacy, I know it's mine, is to tend to watch tennis through the eyes of Novak, through the eyes of Jannik, through the eyes of Carlos, from the highest level down. When I am there, I can be critical on Novak. Oh, Missed that backhand a little short right there. As if we're the,
Coach.
we're the automatons of tennis, right?
Yeah.
And then I step back from it and I watch as a fan, and I am just excited to watch the qualities and see how high the level is. And so then I'm watching it to say, and this is the qualities. This guy is 200 in the world and somehow got in the qualities, and he looks ridiculous. And I'm like, and just wait until the guys actually get here next week. It's going to be even tougher. This guy may not last a round or two. I say that to say I saw your buddy Kim, um, Jerome maybe Kim last night who played Taylor
Yeah.
a pretty
Yep.
decent
Yep.
match.
Yep. Yep.
And I'm watching this guy from Switzerland. One of my shout out to my boy Julio Sassi, who's my head pro here at River Club, who told me about this kid. And I'm like, never heard of this kid before, right? And Alvin, I have to tell you, Kim looked pretty good. He looked very Taylor Fritz like. Now, does he have the same consistency? Does Taylor have just a few more nuances? 100%. But Kim was right there for, dare I say, for 2/3 of the match. And
Right.
to the point I'm making, I think if I'm looking through that match through Kim's eyes, I am saying, buddy, keep working. You're so close to top 20 material. Just keep working. You're right there. You're knocking on the door. If you can go back, fix a few things, manage that first serve percentage a little better, keep leaning on the forehand and backhand, but pick your times to use them. We were having a similar conversation, Alvin, about Ben Shelton with this start of the year, if you recall.
Ben, my poor Ben.
And so now we're looking at other younger guys coming up. I would certainly put Kim in that same conversation. Yeah, we need to have a whole little small 5-minute segment on Ben. Um, but I say it to say there are so many guys like him that are that are up
Well,
and comers that I am very excited to see. And that's my point is I don't want to reduce Chapo to to anything other than he is a creative genius at work who we love to watch. Will he ever threaten for a Grand Slam, Ashley? I doubt it. Does that mean that I will not go watch him play over somebody else? I will go watch him first. And I think there's a certain element of him, Gael, and others like him that I love to see because it's unconventional. And I hate to say it, I'm a little older than you two. There was a time when Mats Wilander had tennis on lockdown in the middle to late 80s. And guess who had it kind of on lockdown before him? Was a guy named Ivan Lendl. They were so good at almost being tennis robots. Tennis darn near died. Now, here's what I'm saying. Between the no expression of the face, making so many balls, playing so much high percentage tennis, you longed for a time of John McEnroe and Bjorn Borg when it was exciting to
Well,
watch.
but I think
I say that, and I go into, and I just want to say this last part. And then came Pete and Andre, and all of a sudden it became fun to watch the opposing styles. That's my only insertion of this is let's not forget that the variation is also fun for the game.
absolutely.
And is it ever going to be a grand slam? You can't play that way 7 times
Well, I
and
think
win,
I think if I
but
could,
it doesn't matter in the totality. Go ahead.
yeah, if I could clarify, I think what I would love to see, and I'm a huge Guillaume Monfils fan. I'm just gonna kind of talk about him for a second. I want to
100%.
see those guys do it, put it all together one time because I do love the
One
style of their
time.
game,
Fair.
right?
Fair.
And I think what I would love to see is not for them to dampen their creativity, but to be able to be creative and execute consistently with that creativity,
Yeah.
right? Like I want them to almost like not become tennis robots. That was super
Sure.
boring, right? But like merge
Oh, God.
into
The
that to
worst.
where it's like, man, like holy cow, it's mind-blowing tennis out there. And
Yeah.
and you see it, you get these little tastes of it and you're like, "Ooh, I want more of that. Ooh, that tastes. Oh, I want more of that," right? And I think
Yeah.
that's the tennis fan in me is like, "Come on, man, just put it together. Like you're right
Yeah.
well,
there."
there
Um,
are two things that are true about tennis, especially at the professional level. One, this is an entertainment sport,
absolutely.
right?
Yep.
It is entertainment.
Yep.
So these players, like what they do bring outside of winning and losing is extremely valuable,
Yep.
right? That's the
Yeah.
thing. That's why people buy tickets. Two, all tennis players are flawed, all of them, every single one of them, right? The real difference between like Coleman Wong and Taylor Fritz is Taylor has
He's
shored up a
much less
few.
flawed.
He's just shored up. He shored up more of the holes, right?
Yeah.
Right.
It's so like
He's
they can all hit forehands and backhands. they can all cover the court to a certain extent, right? It's like when the chips are down, who believes that they can hide their weaknesses better than the other?
Yeah.
Like, and that's what happened. Like, I was passing through Louis last night, and when Taylor was getting all mixed up in that match, and it's like, yeah, but at some point, someone's gonna blink, and it's probably not gonna be Taylor.
Yeah.
He never was in threat of losing. He was in threat of going 5. He was in threat of extending it longer than he should have. He was in threat of getting broken. He was never a threat to lose it. And again, no disrespect to Kim, played a great match, especially for him where he's at in his career. And I think, to your point, Alvin, they are all flawed. They're all human, as we all are.
Right.
I say they are much. There are those that are much less flawed than others. And actually, I want to say this to make sure we're on the same page. I saw Gael grow up. I saw him flailing around the quality courts, couldn't even make the main draw of the junior. I have seen Gael, him and Sko are the same age.
Yeah.
I have seen that young man since he was 15 years old. So
Yeah.
you appreciate there may not be a bigger Gael Monfils fan than this man right here.
Yeah.
This is so please understand me on that one. I will give you a quick 10-second story. 30 seconds.
I'm gonna count you down.
Standing
I'll count
next
you down.
Please. I'm in Australia for the first time in 2004. I'm standing next to one of his coaches. And I hear on the cell phone, because I'm standing next to the guy who has physio and coaches meeting. He says, I hear Monfils. I'm like, what's happening to Gael? He gets a call from the French Federation saying Gael is cut. That's it. No more tennis for Gael. As soon as he's done, send him back to Paris. I'm like, whoa, come on now, Gael, come on. The guy looks at me and says, he's had 3 years. He can't get it done. He says the good news is he's still in the tournament and they'll let him keep playing as long as he's in. I said, well, man, thank God. This is before the Australian of 2004. Gael Monfils wins the tune-up. Gael Monfils goes into the Australian junior and ends up winning the tournament, beating who they thought was going to be Jocelyn Wana, was going to be the next French heir apparent, right behind Matthew Moncourt and others. Jeremy Chardy and others came next. When I tell you he was that close from getting cut because of creativity, because of too much, right? There is my quick story to give you some background on Gael. That it's turned into now a darn near 18-year career.
He's
right?
lasted a
Of
lot
the young
of
man,
people. Yeah.
20 years, however long you want to call it, 21 years.
Yeah.
And I say it to tell you, I could not be happier for Gael for knowing how close he came
Yeah.
and knowing where he's at now. Trust me, Ashley, we're on the same page. There's my 30 seconds off, but I just want to throw that in
Well,
there for everybody to know.
I'm gonna swing that over into the tournament present day though, right? So speaking of Gael, like he's obviously one of the elder statesmen on tour, one of the 5 oldest people in this draw. We're having a little bit of the old guy stand right now on the men's side, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, Novak is doing what he's doing. He is old, but he's also Novak, so maybe he doesn't really count. But Jan-Lennard Struff, right? He's having quite the tournament. Takes down Francis, and he's actually playing good tennis. And Francis's remarks after the match, we I don't know where we are with Francis, and I think we'll get to talking about him. But between Novak and Struff and Mannarino, so we're gonna have a conversation about Ben Shelton and about Francis Tiafoe. I guess maybe we'll have it at the same time. But I love seeing the elder statesmen be able to put it together, not just on the back ends of their careers, but like in these big large stages where people who came to see these young Americans specifically. Francis isn't young, but they get to see these other players who are doing things maybe a little bit differently in Mannarino's case. And Struff, a guy who's never really seen the upper echelons of our sport, but he's still, showing fans that he is one of those players that can hit a ball too. Right.
I think you're seeing experience kind of like come into play here a little bit of they don't really they're at the back half of their career. They don't really have anything to lose at this point. Like they're going to play lights out. And I think you're seeing their maturity on the court really pull them through. They know who they are. They know what their weaknesses are. They know what their strengths are. And they can just play with that. And like all the stuff that happens in the young careers and people who are up and coming and what do they have, what don't they have? And they're trying to figure themselves out. People are putting labels on them. People are constantly changing their opinions. These guys have seen it all. They're like, this is who I am. This is what I got. And let's give it a good ride, right? And I think I'm enjoying seeing like them play with that little bit of freedom. You can almost see just a little bit of freedom in their style right now, and they're just kind of letting it hang out. And I think when I watch, Monfils again, back, in the day, you'd see him get all say, no, he just plays, man. He's like, this is what I have today,
Yep.
and it's all good. I think you're
Yep.
seeing the same thing in Struff. I think even Djokovic has a little bit of that, right? Like he's kind of like, I don't play anything but the slams, and I'm gonna give it my
which
best
is a
shot, and
flex,
I'm gonna,
which is such a
yeah,
flex.
like he knows who he
He's
is.
earned it though.
He's secured himself as a
Yeah.
player. He's obviously secured himself, as a human, but as a player, he knows who he is. He knows what he's got and what he doesn't. And to me, I love seeing players kind of turn that curve on the freedom, right, that they can display
Yeah,
themselves.
yeah. And while we're here, like there were only like a few things left I had left on the agenda on the men's side. One being, actually, when I didn't get to that one, the American men right now, right? Let's,
Mhm.
the Ben Shelton experience, which I got a chance to, partake in again yesterday. He's that dude,
He
right?
is.
He is that guy. He's marketable. He has the personality. He wins enough tennis matches. He plays a brand of tennis that Americans really like.
Yeah.
It's smash mouth. It's
Yeah.
just
Smash mouth all
smash
day.
mouth tennis. Yeah.
Yep.
And he's a big in person. Like, I mean, he's a big
But
dude.
he's
Big
Like,
guy.
fun.
Yeah.
He's funny. His
yeah,
co-
he's
his media is awesome. He's what like
all the things.
the way he handles like the playoff. I love Trinity coming in asking him a question. His playfulness,
Yeah.
right? You see that shine through, and in his media presence. His social stuff that he's doing on TikTok, this, that, and the other. You know, he's got all the pieces, and it's
He's got
really,
all the
really
pieces.
exciting. You saw what was his first round match? The stand was packed for him. I mean, absolutely packed. Every single one of his matches, he is bringing the crowds. He is I think, a great balance of entertainer and high level tennis player. And I respect his decision. To say like, look, like something's wrong here. I'm not going to keep pushing it. Understanding that he has hopefully a very long future ahead of him. And to kind of see the fans get a little disappointed, like, man, like, could he pull it through? Was that the right call? It's it's an
Yeah.
interesting point.
Well, I mean, Brian was pushing that one. Like, so Brian was right in front
As
of
any
me.
father should, right? As any
Yeah,
father
yeah,
and any coach
father,
would.
coach. Like, he's like, cut it. Like, there's nothing that we need to continue to go for. If
Yep.
we're talking left shoulder, right? That's the money
That's the
maker. And if
money-making
left shoulder
shoulder.
can't
Yep.
go, if the left shoulder can't go, we're not going anywhere.
Yep.
So let's just shut this
Right.
bad boy down.
Yep.
But it was so cool to see, like, that place was standing room only. There were people sitting
Yes.
on the stairs.
Yes.
Like, general admission, people were just flying in.
No one
trying
else
to,
is
like,
bringing that level
not
of
even
attendance
close.
in the first.
Not even close.
Not the
And,
center,
like,
not Alcaraz. I mean,
not even close.
he's
It's
so special.
Yeah, but the kicker is, like, so we were talking about, like, yes, he's great for American tennis. He's great for tennis at large. Taylor is a top 5 player.
Yep.
Francis has made the semifinals of Grand Slams before. Like, but is that going to be enough for the American audience? Like, there's a little bit of a ceiling there,
We just
right?
need
Like,
one. We just need one. I mean, honestly, I will take one at this point. It has been such a drought for American tennis, for dominant American
men's American
tennis.
tennis, men's American tennis, men's American
Men-
tennis,
Of
men's
course,
American.
men's.
Ladies
We're
are-
only
ladies
talking about
crushing.
men right now. I'm the first one
Fair.
to say men. We're in the men's category right now.
Female. No doubt. No doubt. Get him, Ashley.
Anyways,
I'm gonna chime in. Alvin. No, it won't be enough. It hasn't been enough for 20 years. Let me say this: Andy Roddick, which I was been happy to see some of his
Andy
old
Roddick
clips
was
and things
not
come about.
anywhere close to what Ben Shelton is. I'll say that right now.
From
Love you,
Wow.
Andy.
Wow.
a fan
In
fan
what
standpoint.
sense?
I don't think that Andy Roddick brought the level of excitement from the average viewer that Ben Shelton does. Andy Roddick wasn't packing Ashe on a Tuesday night.
Different time though. I agree
Agree.
with you in terms of all of the buzz around Ben. I'm gonna push back a little bit, Ashley, just because, and please understand that I totally not only agree with you on some levels. I know both players fairly well.
Yep.
Know Brian, go back 20 almost 30 years. So I've known pre-Ben, so to speak. I say it to tell you, Andy was Andy was exactly what Smash Mouth was 20 years ago.
Right.
And I think my thing that I want to make sure we don't lose in today's social media, frenzy is that for all intents and purposes, he's probably a better overall tennis player at the peak of his career, which Ben is yet to reach. I will also say that Andy, brought us the end of a drought at the last drought, right? And gave us hope that there was more on the way. We didn't know that we were stepping into the greatest of all time era with Fed, Nadal, and now Novak. And I think we're in a similar era now where we don't know. We're about to step into another great run with Carlos and with Yannick. And I would love to see Ben get one, to your point. I don't know when that'll be. The longer it goes, right? Maybe he'll pull a Delpo. Maybe he'll pull a a Wawrinka, a Murray, and steal one or two in this next 5 to 6 years. I think he's certainly capable. He came out and got to the same as Australia 2 years ago, right? So I think it's very possible. I'm just saying I don't want to. Hype doesn't make him, and I think Ben's best attribute right now is he's unfinished. He's got so many things he can still get better at. That's what I love about Ben. The fact that he's packing out crowds and dating Trinity Rodman, all that, all that's great. I made an analogy the other day, Alvin, about he's a lot like Dennis Rodman. A little unconventional, a little bit.
I'm not going
He's
there.
an athlete.
I'm not going there.
Here's what I'm going with. Dennis was not smooth. There was a lot of basketball players, Alvin, that were smooth. Dennis was an athlete beyond athletics.
I'll take that.
The man found ways to out rebound guys 6 inches taller. The guy hard. He worked his butt off. He was never what you would say smooth, but he was a champion, and he dedicated himself to get better at the package he was given. And truth be told, was probably overachieved. And I see a little bit of that coming from Ben. I'm not going in there with the whole family dynamics. I get all that.
Ben has, though, I think
he has a lot to work on. He's only getting better. That's my point.
Ben has a likability factor. You brought up Roddick.
Right.
I grew up going to the same academy. I was coached by Roddick's brother. For all intents and purposes, should have been looking up, right, at Roddick.
Yep.
Ben has a different likability factor than Roddick ever did, right? And I think that's the difference for me in saying, I think that because of that, if Ben can heal, and we're putting a lot of pressure on this guy. Don't listen to this, Ben. You never hear this. It's fine. No pressure. Do your best. Because we've had the top two, top four, big three, big four. I think if an American's part of that conversation now, that's the difference, right?
Well,
and that likability factor, I think turns it for me.
I'm with you in as far as the personality differences between the two and how they do. Okay. Ben is Ben's 20, he's 21, 22. He's quite young, right? At this point, I think Andy had already won Grand Slam, right? So, but for their ages, both being young, Ben is more likable. He's more, I'm not going to say marketable because Andy won a Grand Slam. That's a highly marketable thing. He was on talk shows and dated Mandy Moore. Like, it was like, he was that dude. I mean, he was that dude, but we're talking about a very different time. This is like damn near pre-internet, right? This is definitely pre-social media.
This was in the era of MySpace, right? MySpace was just.
I mean, Andy's only a year older than me. It was close, but it was definitely before Facebook. Yeah. Let's put it that way. Yeah. So it's a very different space, and marketability is one thing. Personality is one thing. From a tennis standpoint, right now Ben can't hold a candle to what Andy was able to do. But like
in the same time frame.
Yeah, what Torrey mentioned, and I think you actually brought this up last time all the three of us got together. There is so much space left for him to improve.
Absolutely.
There's so much space, and he is there. He's in the conversation with these guys. He's losing to these guys at slams. I mean, I'm sure of this retirement this week, but he's got some work to do. But he's he's adding things every year at this rate already. I don't see why he won't continue to get better. Will he win a slam?
Absolutely.
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 I'm going to write this down.
Write it down.
Okay,
Absolutely.
it is August 30th in the year of our Lord
100%.
2025.
I think
Write
he's
it down.
just still on the climb of that bell
Absolutely.
curve. Lots of
100%.
potential, absolutely.
Weird things happen.
I'm with Torrey on this.
Weird things happen. He will win
Weird
one.
things
Absolutely.
happen.
I think he's top 10 a year ahead of schedule. I
Yep.
think he will be top 5 and this injury will only, hopefully it's just a small one, will only be the kind of setback he needs to work on some other things. I was on this talk show, Alvin, this podcast with you, talking about the things he needed to improve to break in the top 10, to get rid of, so he can now
Sure.
start having, to your point, Ashley, some more consistent results. And I'll be darned if he hadn't fixed every single one of them.
Yeah.
Now, there's still more to go on. And my whole thought, I don't want to belabor my point about the Rodman analogy, was that he's never been smooth. You heard right here, Alvin. Emma, his older sister, was a smoother tennis player than he was, right? And he's just always had the competitive drive that would not stop. Brian talked to our USTA coaching group about it, and he talked about a time when Ben had been sick, was playing for Florida, and he had not been able to play. And he was like, "You're not going to play." He says, and Ben says, "Dude, I need to play." And he was like, "You haven't hit a ball in 2 weeks." He says, "I don't care. I'd rather go compete than I would sit and back and watch." He says, of course, he went out, got beat. He remembered the guy that beat him. And I'm laughing as a dad and a coach. Ben wanted to play. You know what I was so impressed in this match? Ben probably got hurt midway through that match.
Third set.
And
Yep.
and decided to play anyway. He was so competitive, he thought he could beat Manarino, hurt. And I say that to say, you tell me this guy won't win a slam? Absolutely not. This guy will win at least one, maybe two. And unfortunately for him, he's going to do it with two of the best players currently playing the game. And many others have failed. It's his competitiveness that I'm doubling down on, Alvin, even more than his game and his likability. That's my point.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna let you in with that one. We're gonna take a break. We're gonna switch over to the women's side, and we'll start tackling some of those matches. Okay. All right. We're back. More over to the women's side. We're gonna clear out here because I think right now the biggest story on the women's side is Taylor Townsend, right? And we lucky us that we're recording this podcast tonight because we've had a Taylor Townsend kind of week where obviously the incident with Yelena Ostapenko happened, right? We all knew, I think we predicted it here that was going to be a special match. I think we got a little more than we bargained for, right? It was on ESPN. It was on the national news. The whole thing. It's been covered, right? But from a tennis standpoint, Taylor went back to work. She won her doubles match the next day. And then she took out a top 5 Mira Andreeva the following day.
The fact, I could not be more impressed with the fact that she has not allowed the drama, the conversation, all of that to even slightly break her focus. In fact, I think it's helped her focus even harder. I've been so impressed by that. You can see that fight in her and the fire in her eyes. I love the fact she went out the next day, played doubles, won. She's just took down, the number 5 seed as well. She's playing some of the best tennis I think I've ever seen her play, in a very long time at least. And, it frustrates me sometimes as the tennis person of like, that's got to be the thing that pops off and, makes the rounds, the drama that unnecessarily happened. But at the same time, I love how Taylor's responding to it. I think that speaks to her as a person. I think that speaks to her maturity as a player. And I think that if this happened, 8-9 years ago, any player would have fallen apart. And to see her turn it around and use it as motivation, I could not be more proud.
And the part that kind of following the hardcourt swing this summer leading up to the U.S. Open, Taylor's been playing some good tennis.
Absolutely.
And you get Ostapenko in the first round or the second round? Second round. Right. We all saw that match and was like, okay, that's going to be one to watch. She played well. Like Absolutely. after the first 25 minutes of that match, she played really well and she locked in and she won a match against a former Grand Slam winner, right? So that is a tennis thing. And then the other stuff happened, and I think it's good to kind of take it from a macro view of like who Taylor Townsend is and what she's been through with the organization that puts on the U.S. Open, right? It's a very long story of her at a very young age being a very good player, with the best players in our country, and not being embraced by this system. You're also seeing it now where she doesn't have a clothing sponsor. She's doing things her own way. She's making her own clothing and blazing her own path, and she's playing doubles and playing singles. She's always done things her way. And I was a little shocked because I had Ashe tickets last night, right? I was a little shocked that she got that spot, but then I thought, man, this is such a great opportunity, right? The whole world is watching. After what happened against Penko, the USTA goes double down. Okay, fine. We're going to put her prime time, Friday night, U.S. Open, Labor Day weekend. The whole world was watching, and she was lights out from damn near first ball and completely owned Mira Andreeva, and then everything else is falling into place, right? The cameras are in her face. She's delivering every time someone's coming to talk to her. She's showing that personality. She is being everything that you want out of an American tennis star, and she's doing it her way. And I think, like, right now, like, I'm going to give her flowers right now because we don't know when she's going to lose, if she's going to lose. But I'm so glad she was able to back up and she met the moment. Like, meeting the moment is huge, and she did that in spades. Torrey, go ahead.
Not only was I impressed with her level of play, I was impressed with how she handled the whole Penko situation. She didn't get down in the dirt with her. She simply repeated what she said, called her out, and said, I'm not backing down from this. And you know what? I beat you in Canada before. That's outside the U.S. Bring it. We'll do this again. And I like the fact that she kept it about tennis, even as it seemed that Yelena was trying to cheapen her win. I also want to say this. I don't think Yelena was inherently racist with her comments. I think it was more of a cheap shot as a player who was losing. I think the media may have blown it up a little out of proportion. Let's make no mistake about that. At the same time, I, sharing the same color of skin as Taylor, completely understand what the inherent pseudo racist tropes are for a long time. The no education, the no class, you should have put your hand up on the lat cord. Really? You know what? Even if I do it, I'm faking it. I'm doing it because I have to, because tennis etiquette says so. Alvin, if you and I are playing a breaker right now, and I had a let court at 7-6, I'll put my hand up, and right behind it, I'm gonna say, "Come on!"
Sometimes that fist bump's got to come out first, and you go, "Oh, sorry,
No, to my point. Depending on how hard fought that 7-6 was. I say it to say, if that's what you had to say, Yelena, you know what? Put your big girl pants on, and let's try to figure this out the next time. I want to also say, and this is the best quote she said after the match, talking to another first, which is Chris Eubanks being the one to interview her after that match. She said, I kept the main thing the main thing.
That's right.
And that meant to me she had moved on past drama and embraced the moment, as you said, Alvin, but she did so talking with her racket. That's what I loved about it.
So
she stepped up and played with her racket. I had never seen her backhand look that clean. She has a great backhand.
Absolutely.
She did as much from the backcourt, Alvin, as she did from the front court. We all know Taylor Gonzalez.
Oh, yeah.
So that's what was really impressed to me, was how she handled that before. Didn't let it distract. Ashley, great point. But she talked with her racket the next day. And I think she's starting to play, coming into her own. And you know what, Alvin? Who's to say that it wasn't meant to be this way for her to earn it like this her own way?
Well, let's keep going. Let's keep going down that path of keeping about the tennis, right? Because I think like her next round matchup is very, it's very apropos that she's playing Barbora Krejcikova, who might be the model for what Taylor is trying to do. Barbora, multiple-time Grand Slam doubles and like women's doubles and mixed doubles champion, right? A lot of it with Sinyakova, and then decided to forge her own path in singles and make a go at it, put the focus there, and then wins 2 Grand Slams as a singles player, right? Lots of craft, lots of skill around the court, obviously can finish at the net. We're talking about, different versions of a very similar game style, though, right? Like Krejcikova versus Townsend. So I think it's very appropriate that they're meeting each other. Also, Barbora she's on one right now. Like if she's fit, she's the threat.
Yep.
And if she's fit plus scrapping out matches, watch out. Like taking down Emma Navarro at the U.S. Open is like, that's no joke. It's the American crowds are very, very real, and she got herself through a tricky one. Anytime Barbora is getting past the first week, my antennas are up.
Yeah.
That's where I live with that.
Yeah.
And I'm excired for that match. That's going to be a fun one.
Absolutely. And Barbora, coming back from a set down against Navarro, right? And being able to close that. And relatively, 4-4 is not, you're walking over, right? It's not as if Navarro had a meltdown. She did, rise to the occasion and beat her fairly. I'm excited to see that. I'm gonna lean towards Taylor on this one. And just hope that she can keep putting it together. I do think, Torrey, to your point, you have to look at it as, is this the way it was supposed to happen for her? This, maturation arc and things like that.
Right.
I would love to see her put the pieces together and make a really deep run here into the second week. I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Yep.
On the singles player. She does it on the
She looked like she's got another. She looked like she's just now starting to find herself in a groove in the tennis and the single side. And again, I think that continue to talk with the racket. I think it speaks volumes. It speaks volumes that we're able to move past it. And the fact that she put an exclamation point behind it, it was even better. Unfortunate for Mira, she got kind of caught up in a lot of it, right? I don't think she's still young, right? She may not have understood some of the, if you will, some of the cosmic energy that was fueling the other side.
Sure.
And I think Mira is not quite ready just yet. She looked like she was every bit of, a bit of a deer in headlights a little bit, with a very amped up, very passionate, very focused and determined mother of one.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this young lady has dealt with many things so far in her young career. She has not dealt with that. You know what I mean? She's not dealt with that sort of situation. And so again, hats off to her. We will see much more from Mira. I have no doubt. But it's something that, Alvin, we were talking about this against was it Peyton Stearns? That played Venus in that match in
First
DC.
round of DC, yeah,
Right.
very,
So I
very
was like,
similar.
I don't think Peyton was ready for this bit of a media frenzy and to play a Venus, a former multi-time Grand Slam champion. You're not ready for this yet. You think you are. You think it's about the tennis. You know what I mean? But it's a little bigger than that tennis from time to time. And I think this was one of those matches.
And speaking of mothers and former, Grand Slam champions, Naomi Osaka
about to bring her up. You read my mind. Naomi
Osaka, I mentioned this, coming out of Canada, even though she lost to Vicky in the final. Yep. She's found something. She's found herself in her game right now. Yep. And she's I'm not even gonna say she looks like the old Naomi.
Right.
But she's looking at the world like the old Naomi. Like I am one of the ones you need to worry about. And she's carrying herself like that. And her tennis is following suit. And I watched today's match kind of, back and forth with the Sinner match very intently. That thing almost got out of hand.
Yep, it did.
It almost got out of hand. She came out guns a-blazing, really putting her game plan against Daria Kasatkina to the, when those two match up, it should be like that. You're going to get a lot of short balls, step inside the court, force, corner, mm-hmm. And then naturally Daria catches up, right? Yep. We get knotted in, and then we get into this third set. It's probably, I say 4-5 second set, Naomi gets broken. Yeah. At that point, you could assume okay, maybe we crumble. Right. Maybe Naomi of 6 months ago shows up.
The recent Naomi crumbled.
Yes,
right.
Yes, but she came out refocused in that third set and was right back on Daria, and I was like, okay, all right, this is where it all started, right? Absolutely. This is where we were back. We were back in New York where it all started. Go ahead.
Exactly. We said that, in our preview show that it's all up to Naomi. She could decide to quit tennis tomorrow. She can decide to go win a Grand Slam tomorrow, right? It's all going to be her mental mindset. You're spot on. that her mentality is leading her and her actual playing and game is kind of following along, as with most players, right? But I think it's particularly evident with her because she's been, quite honestly, very vulnerable and transparent about the ups and downs that she's had mentally with her mentality and her focus and her kind of desire to do it. I also, I think that she's been a very thoughtful ally to this whole drama, right? And kind of
Yep.
had a very measured approach. Spoke on behalf of both players, and I think everyone
She
on
did.
tour has done a really nice job of that, and kind of understanding that clearly it was a heat in the moment, kind of a thing.
Yep.
But for her to come back after that second set, I thought she was done. I was like, at the end of the second set, I was like, I think Osaka's done. She's had a good run. She'll kind of pack it up. And for her to come back out exactly refocused, still hitting her spots, still looking hungry, right? It's been a long time since I've seen her really look hungry to win, and she looked hungry to win. So I'm excited to see what happens. It's definitely different than what I thought was going to happen at the beginning of the tournament. I kind of gotten used to her, kind of lack of desire, right? Frankly. And so to see it kind of return here, it's exciting. She's a great player and a great player in her own right, and it's exciting to watch for sure.
It reminded me, Ashley, first of all, your points about her in the media stepping into that fray alone shows maturity.
Yep.
She didn't hang Yelena out to dry. She actually even explained Yelena a little bit on to the most people in a way that I don't think Yelena would even mind, right? Had she been in the same room. She took up for Taylor in a, again, Naomi's dad's black. We get her
Right.
understanding of on the color side of things, but she didn't. She stepped into the fray in probably a way that only she could,
Yep.
and also spoke to it very honestly and very openly without without vilifying one and vindicating the other. She
Absolutely.
just spoke to it, and I thought that was a very, I like your word, measured. Let's not forget she did beat Daria 6-0 in the first set. So let's not talk about
She did.
she came out and bageled my girl and played some good tennis. And the last thing we were talking about Naomi a few weeks back was how she didn't give Mboko enough credit or mention her in the speech. Another time-honored tradition of etiquette, right, that we're supposed to adhere to. And here's a four-time Grand Slam champ saying, I can't believe that it's taken me this long to get back to my form. You guys have to, and I think I was very pleased with her, even her attempting to step into that fray
Yep.
with the media being what it is. And I also thought, and you both said it already about her coming back. I think this is a new Naomi. I'm not sure if I was just playing really well and was young and I was so focused and dialed in that was all that life had for me. And quite frankly, like Jordan in the first three championships, maybe even got a little bored with it. Like, I beat the best of all time, doing things, I'm going to get into management. I'm going to get there's so many things I want to do.
Yeah.
Only to come back to it to realize the next three were actually the most difficult because age now kicks in. And I feel like her being a mom now as well. I feel like her maturity is coming back. Change coaches. She has shown me that she is trying her best to become the best Naomi she can now. We can no longer look at the old Naomi or measure her to the old Naomi. That time is gone. That time is past.
Well,
And by the way, those trophies still sit in her case. By the way, that will never be taken away. But we're in a different era where she's in a different time. And to me, the fact that she's still trying to put it together and is having some success, mind you, I think that is great for tennis. I think her story is great for tennis. And I think that it's awesome that she's recommitted herself because that was also the issue I had. Was she going to recommit to really do it?
Yep.
Not just dip her toe in the water and bounce.
I'll stop you there then. Let's get right into it though. She's got Coco Gauff in the next round, right?
Mhm.
Talk about, I mean, you could take this in a lot of different ways, right?
Yeah.
But what the hell are we doing? What are we doing? Like Coco is somewhere where, I mean, her game is somewhere, but she's in the fourth round. This feels like a classic Coco Gauff beautiful mess kind of tournament.
Yeah.
how does that work with Naomi Osaka here at the U.S. Open specifically?
I think Naomi's very dangerous to Coco right now. I think if you're Coco, you cannot you're it's going to be a test, right? And I think, you know, to Tori's point, like Naomi coming out, this is where she does shine, right? And this is where if magic's going to happen, this is where magic's going to happen for Naomi. And Coco needs to really make sure she digs in and has a really great game plan and really, kind of looks at how Naomi's been playing the last two matches. Um, I, I think Coco's got to tighten it up in order to get past Naomi at this point.
So I watched that match. Like I said, I watched that match today, Naomi's match against Kazakhina, and I was thinking about Coco being the person on the other end,
Hmm.
and I just feel like that actually works really well for Coco because she's comfortable on defense.
Sure.
She's gonna make Naomi hit a million balls. Like, can Naomi sustain that level of concentration and execution for that long against a player who's that much faster than Daria Kazakhina? Like, I don't know about you, Tor, but I think that's kind of where the matchup, like, that's where this match lives. Can Naomi hold
But it's on
on and play
Naomi.
offense?
Naomi.
It's on Naomi, yeah,
It's
but
on
that's a
Naomi.
hard. I mean, it's on Arena Sabalenka, right?
Oh,
It's always on the other
for
person
sure. But
with Coco.
I think what
Yep.
just to jump in there real quick is to say like Coco is a great player. But I think it's dependent on can Naomi sustain that high level of tennis again through the duration of a match against, a fierce defender like Coco. She's clearly capable of it, but will she be able to do it this time? I think, we're not necessarily looking at Coco saying, here's how Coco's going to hurt Naomi, besides
Yeah.
her obvious great defense, mentality.
I think this match is going to come down to a few more X's and O's. You've all heard the fable of Briar Rabbit and the Briar Patch, right? Naomi's biggest mistake, if she makes it, is to play offense against Coco.
Yeah.
Coco has had, it's been well documented, um, serving issues to the point that she hired a new, you know, mechanics coach
Right.
2 days before the Open. I feel, aside from attacking the return of serve, which she did a great job against Kazakhina doing, I feel if she comes out and plays a very solid mental match and says, no, 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 you're the 2 seed. Yeah, I've got 4 slams that have set my case back home,
Right.
but you're the top player. You beat me.
Right.
And I think if she comes out with a different mentality saying, I don't have to beat you. That was her problem with Mboko in Canada. She tried to beat the younger player who excelled in defense instead of saying, can you beat me though?
Right.
Can you take it from me? I'm still pretty fast. I'm still pretty good on the back end side last time I checked. And my serve's not terrible. So it used to be one of the top in the world. I was able to play
Right.
defense against a Serena when she was phasing out, going toward the sunset of part of her career. I think if she approaches the match like that, Alvin, she could be the absolute worst nightmare for Coco Gauff because she has every shot.
Yep.
If she comes out and tries to out hit, go through, she will single-handedly help Coco get to the finals of this event because of tightening her up a little bit. And I'm hoping for Naomi's sake that she plays a smarter match and
Wouldn't
doesn't put Briar Rabbit in the Briar Patch.
wouldn't that be the first time though for Naomi to like? I mean, I understood, right? 2018, right, when she beat Serena in the finals of the U.S. Open. That's a very different version of Naomi, even
Exactly.
a very different version of Naomi in the 2018 to 2021 period, right?
That's
Like
Sure.
that Naomi, that was the beginning, right? Since then, Naomi doesn't play defense. Like she doesn't play to wait on anybody. I have a hard time foreseeing her going that route, the Badosa route, Badosa Australian Open route, right?
Sure.
Like that was the blueprint of like just let her fall apart.
Let her fall apart, match up heavy on the forehand side, attack the second serve, roll if necessary. I just feel, Alvin, she just had this bitter taste in her mouth in Canada. And what was it, Montreal? Just a few short weeks. Was it Toronto? just a few short weeks ago. And I think if that sour taste is still there, she realizes that Coco is just a little better version of Vicky. And I'm not saying she will do it. I'm saying if it's in her best interest to do it, because Coco is like a younger her. How would she play her younger self? She would not play offense because that activates the faster, more instinctive, more I need not to think too much. I need to just grip them. I need to just cover court and hit open spaces when I see them. And that would actually turn the tide, in my opinion. If Naomi wins this match, I see her going deep in this tournament because I think that would give her the confidence she needs. The flip side of that, and unfortunately, she's had some serving issues. She's been emotional about it. I think we all understand this is not the best. Sorry, Coco. This has not been the best Coco Gauff tournament that we've seen
Right.
up to this point. Right? She's somehow managed to get through. And I said on this podcast before, she needs to spend more time on some of those things that have been perennial issues for her. This is not the first time her serving forehand have been issues. We've been saying this for 5 years, maybe longer. And I am one to think she has a huge upside, but I would like to see her spend a little more time on some of those things and not let it get to this point. She hasn't really played phenomenal since French. Right.
Right.
And here I am now saying she's at there is one person that could expose this. Her name is Naomi Osaka. And there's one person that will benefit, and either of them will benefit from the others not taking advantage, right? Because tightening up Coco will send Naomi to the confidence she needs,
Yep.
and beating Naomi will give Coco the confidence she needs to
Absolutely.
continue to push forward and be like, I'm good. So this match to me has a lot of momentum and inertia for either person, whoever comes out on top,
Absolutely.
in my humble opinion.
In your humble opinion. Yeah, it's an interesting one. It's a really interesting matchup. You can't take out the crowd factor, right? Naomi, I mean, Naomi is she's won this event twice. She feels comfortable here. The crowd loves her. And yet she's playing against our top American player, the one who American tennis kind of relies on right now.
Oh, shoot.
And just one thing about the Coco Gauff. The last thing about Coco Gauff that I'm going to say is everything that you said, Torrey, is every Coco Gauff tournament. Like,
yeah,
she
the same.
This is exactly how she won the French Open. It's the same.
Yeah.
It was
100%.
the same. It was the same, and that's her superpower. Like, when all is happening, the forehand's failing. Okay, the service failing. Okay, what is she doing? Oh, she's still winning.
Yeah.
Right.
She's still winning.
Yeah.
I'll try better next round.
Yeah.
And then she's still winning. So
Yep.
I'm not gonna get caught up in this. Like this whole like how well Coco Gauff is playing at any given moment in time is irrelevant.
Yep.
Her brain will be there, her legs will be there,
Sure.
and if
Yep.
those two show up,
Yeah,
It is-
she's
and her
got like
backhand will be
80%
there.
chance
It
of winning this
depends
match.
on
Yeah,
which Naomi shows up, right? And
Right,
and
right.
Yep.
is it going to be strategic, mature Naomi, or is she going to
That's
potentially get sucked into battle?
I gotta play like I played 4 years ago, 5 years ago, and
Exactly.
beat this girl, young girl down. I agree.
I know what Coco's B game is and C and D game. Let's see
Yeah.
if Naomi.
It doesn't change much.
It's the same. Newsflash. It's the same.
Thinking.
And let's see if Naomi can get to hers. Like, let's see if Naomi can get to hers. What have we not covered? I think we might be good. I think we're good. We've covered a lot. We've seen some good things from former Grand Slam champions. Rebecca is playing really, really good tennis right now. Y'all need to watch out. And Carlos is putting on a clinic.
Vondrasova as well, by the way.
Vondrasova's coming through.
Let's not and
there's a
Krejcikova for sure, but you cannot forget about Vondrasova.
Iga just snuck through. She just took out who is she playing? Kalinskaya. Like that's a good win to get herself back on track. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for the rest of the event. You'll see more from us, kind of as we get closer and closer to the meat and potatoes of this event. But yeah, if you guys haven't, like, subscribe, do the thing, follow, email, text, carrier pigeon,
Signal.
whatever. Okay. Yeah, smoke signal. Yeah, yes, chimneys work. All the things. But yeah, that's it. I think we can put a pin in it. That's Ashley. That's Torrey. I'm Alvin. Best three. We are out.